What type of shotgun is this?
This is a 12-bore shotgun. It's described as a double-barreled.
Mr. Lowe's face has something like 30 shotgun pellet injuries in it.
What we have is a man out walking his dog, and for no known reason to us, he has been shot.
I couldn't get my head around why somebody'd want to murder Brian. I don't think he had a bad bone in his body.
Jurors heard that the two men had been employed on a shooting estate near Aberfeldy.
Brian Lowe had been a groundsman. The accused was a gamekeeper.
He turned to me and he said about Brian, "I hate him."
For a place like Aberfeldy, you would think it would be impossible to happen. I wouldn't say everybody thinks she's guilty.
Seeing him in the dock was seeing my friend. I'm seeing him as a victim, because I don't believe he did it.
We've got an accused who has taken quite a lot of steps to cover up what he's done. What happened there?
That was accused covering the doorbell camera with duct tape.
There is no forensic link between anything of Mr. Lowe's and Mr. Campbell.
Why would I lie?
Well, you might lie to protect your husband.
I took an oath, I believe in God, and I am telling you the truth.
You shot Brian Lowe dead out of sheer malice.
Malice for what?
And I'm not getting to see Brian ever again.
This is Brian Lowe's body.
I've gone 2 years through hell waiting on this day. You're telling yourself it's going to be guilty, but until you hear the words, you just don't know.
This is not a straightforward case to prosecute. The accused is David Campbell, is a retired gamekeeper, and the deceased, Brian Lowe, is a retired groundsman. These were two men who knew each other from working together many years before the murder on an estate near Aberfeldy. My task is to demonstrate to the jury that David Campbell is guilty of murder and prove that beyond reasonable doubt. The case is very much a circumstantial one because there are no eyewitnesses to this murder. And we've got an accused who has taken quite a lot of steps to cover up what he's done. It means that the jury will have to hear small pieces of evidence which of themselves might not mean much, but when you consider them all together, present a compelling circumstantial case against David Campbell.
A 77-year-old man has gone on trial accused of murdering a dog walker in Perthshire.
Mr. Lowe's body was found on a path near Aberfeldy on the 17th of February 2024. Mr. Campbell has denied all the charges against him.
I'm set the task of letting the jury have the fullest understanding of the evidence so that they can accurately identify the value that it has in a circumstantial case and whether the Crown's suggested conclusion is genuinely inescapable.
In a murder trial, you should be thinking about the defence approach very closely. How would I approach this and look for the weaknesses? And there's always the sense of responsibility that you bear in conducting a murder trial. You think about the next of kin, you think about the deceased, and you want to do your best for them.
At court, I wasn't allowed in because I had to give evidence. But it is strange because they're like talking about your life and somebody you'd lived with for 23 years, and you're not getting to be privy to that at the start. Also, Brian's family were there as well, and it was difficult. But I don't suppose there's another way they can do it, but I wish there was, because that is quite hard.
Court. So, members of the jury, I'm Lord Scott, and I'm the judge who will be presiding over this trial. Now, in Scotland, there are no opening speeches, so I turn now to the Advocate Depute to see how he proposes to open the case for the Crown. Advocate Depute.
My Lord, first Crown witness is Morven Cairncross.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God
I swear by Almighty God
that I will tell the truth,
that I will tell the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Advocate Depute.
Lord. Do you know someone called Pam Curran?
Yes,
How do you know Pam Curran?
I've known Pam for a number of years. She was my neighbour. I lived the next house up.
Next house up from, I think it was Hazel Cottage she lived at.
Hazel Cottage is where Pam and Brian stayed.
Did you ever see Brian outside?
Yes, when he was out walking the dog, he would invariably stop to have a natter over the fence.
Okay. And what kind of dog was it?
A black Labrador.
Black Labrador called Millie?
That's the one.
Did Brian spend a lot of his time in the company of Millie?
Yes, walking more regularly up the track.
I'm just going to put a map up on the overhead. So the track, that's marked as Leafy Lane because we've heard some people called it that.
Yeah.
This is Leafy Lane. A statement of the obvious to say that this is a pretty rural area.
Yes.
I want to ask you now about Saturday, the 17th of February 2024. What were you doing in the morning?
I got up to make coffee. It was about 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning. I heard a bang on the door, which was very unusual considering where we are, so rural, and saw one of the neighbours. He was quite agitated. He was very upset. He told me he had found Brian on the track. He said he had tried to shake him, but he seemed unresponsive and a little cold.
And when you got to Leafy Lane, what did you see?
First thing I saw was Millie.
Millie, the dog?
Yes, because she came to see me. And then I saw Brian lying on his side with blood on his forehead.
And did you call for?
Yes, I phoned 999.
What a stunning view. Look out down the valley, it's beautiful.
Yes, it's Leafy Lane. It's a really nice area. He walked his dog at least twice, sometimes 3 times a day.
He was, I suppose he was just an ordinary sort of hard-working guy that liked his home comforts.
Yes, he was so easygoing. He was just so well-liked. And, I mean, he would avoid confrontation at all costs. But it's still so unfair that, you know, with all the plans that we had, everything was just unfinished and just so abrupt. I mean, who would want to harm Brian? He was the, you know, the kindest, nicest person you could ever imagine.
Mm.
I never thought he had an enemy in the world. I really didn't. It's just so unbelievable. And that set the tone for the horror story that nobody should have to endure.
Normally, in a case like this, a shotgun death would be identified very quickly, and there would be no issue about that. Given the circumstances of this case, that didn't happen.
Yes, Advocate Depute.
My Lord, the next witness is giving evidence by live link.
Yes, thank you.
One of the difficulties in this case was an error very early on in the police investigation. We have to face these things head on. It allows me just to focus on any potential holes in the Crown case and how we're going to fix them. Good afternoon.
You were on duty on Saturday, 17th February 2024. Were you made aware that a male had been found deceased in a field outside Aberfeldy?
I was, yes. I was working out of Barrack Street Police Station in Perth.
How long did it take you to get to the locus?
But even about 45 minutes to an hour. At that point, I was just making visual observations so I could feed back to my detective sergeant around the circumstances. So when I arrived there, I was aware of the deceased slightly down a dirt farm track lying in the field. It was partially on what appeared to be a footpath.
I'm going to ask you to look through the photographs that you took. A warning, these are graphic. This is Brian Lowe's body, and we can see that he's lying on his side. And if we look at the next image, we can see areas of blood on both of his hands. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
If we look at Mr. Lowe's face, there's a lot of blood on his face. Would you agree with that?
I would, yes.
You see on his forehead, there appear to be some black marks in amongst the blood staining. You see that?
I do, yes. At that point, I suspected that the deceased had suffered injuries to his face as a result of a fall whilst he was out for a walk, whether it was a medical episode or otherwise.
You know now, officer, that your initial assessment appears to have been wrong. This man had been shot. And you know that now, don't you?
I do, yes. I was just going to say I think it's important for you to acknowledge the context that we were in a very remote area. Unfortunately, we deal with deaths in the open a lot. There was probably nothing in my thought process that thought it was going to be different than something I'd seen before.
Thank you, officer.
I must admit, I was so angry and so sad at the same time that how could this happen?
And it just seems incredible that, you know, they didn't see the marks on his face, the shot.
And the graphic photographs, so to be honest, they were so horrific. I barely kept my breakfast down. They were really horrific. Well, I can't imagine why somebody would say that that was a medical event.
Mr. Lennon.
Thank you, my lord. Detective Constable, did you come to hear that when Mr. Lowe's remains reached the mortuary, shotgun pellets literally fell out of the bag as the body recovery bag was opened? Did you ever hear that?
I did, yes.
By the late morning of the 17th of February 2024, there could have been the start of the usual police response to a homicide with forensic tents. A cordon would be created round about the scene, manned by police officers. The public would be excluded from the scene. That would be standard. None of that was done. Do you know when the forensic tent was eventually put up?
I do not know.
If I suggest it was the 23rd of February, 6 days later, would you know that to be right, or would you have no idea?
I wouldn't have any knowledge of that, no.
Is it fair for me to say that this was all very embarrassing for Police Scotland?
Couldn't comment on that.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome everyone to Operation New Lane, which is the MIT North investigation into the death of Brian Lowe. There's a press conference at 11. We are the investigation team for the murder inquiry. We don't speak about what happened in the past.
If you've not been to the locus, if you get a chance, go and get your head round it. You wouldn't be out there randomly to actively shoot somebody. And that's what's happened. It's somebody that would clearly know he's going to be there.
Just for your information, the murder in Aberfeldy, could you just mark us as aware of that and attendant, please? Not be long, probably 40 minutes tops.
Yeah, no worries. We'll see when you get here.
The area where the tent is an area where we've identified blood. Obviously, the area where the deceased was, they don't have a clue as to calibre of gun at this stage. They can't determine that. So now, obviously, the priority is searching to ascertain if there has been anything left behind by the perpetrator. It is obviously vast, rural. The ground is quite wet, it's quite sodden, so a really particularly difficult search, I'd say, for the guys.
When you have that delay, a number of things go through your mind of what we could potentially have lost evidentially. Footprints in the soil, tyre tracks, CCTV. Every part of it is a challenge. I mean, even the fact that it was Aberfeldy. Serious crimes don't happen in somewhere like Aberfeldy.
Are you working on the assumption this is a targeted attack against Mr. Lowe?
I'm keeping a very open mind as to the motive of why Brian was subjected to this. There's a number of lines of inquiry ongoing just now. A lot of focus on house-to-house inquiries and CCTV capture. And if any names are mentioned, that's obviously people we will speak to as part of the investigation.
The boss is at a press conference and the spotlight is on. So it's just not good. It's just a lot of media interest and we're kind of a wee bit on the back foot. That's just what happens. So we just need to try and get answers now for Brian's family, and that's the main thing.
It's a very tragic case. I mean, on the face of it, what we have is a man out walking his dog, and for no known reason to us, he has been shot. That was in shockwaves through any community, but the smaller communities, people are known to each other and who they associate with, so people will talk. We only know of one name that's come into it so far, and it's a David Campbell who used to work on an estate with Brian. You know, this is a grievance that goes back to, several years, so it's the only grievance we know, albeit it's one we will put effort into and work around.
It was obvious that the police had been under a lot of pressure at the start. With the adverse publicity came a real need to conclude this inquiry with a robust suspect. My worry is it seemed that they then focused their attention on David Campbell.
Members of the jury, thank you for being ready to start back again. Advocate Deputy.
My lord, the next Crown witness is Sally Crystal, number 35 in your lordship's list.
Thank you.
The Crown don't need to prove motive, but in this case, it's actually very significant because we have to demonstrate why David Campbell would go to all of the trouble that he took in a planned ambush and murder this man. The background was that the accused and the deceased knew each other because they lived and worked on the Edradina estate. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could I have your full name, please?
Sally Henchman Crystal.
And how old are you, Ms. Crystal?
77.
And Edradite estate. Is your farm adjacent to that estate?
It is. We march on the east side with Edradina estate.
Was that estate a shooting estate?
Correct.
When did you first meet David Campbell?
The first time I met David Campbell was in the shooting season of '87. When he first came, he was an excellent keeper, highly respected, and ran a very, very good shoot.
Did you come to know Brian Lowe?
I did indeed. I first met Brian when he came to work on the estate as groundsman handyman.
And what game was shot on the estate, do you know?
Where it was mostly pheasants and partridge.
And what type of firearms are used?
Normally a shotgun.
Did you sometimes help out?
Oh, very much so. I had dogs. The dogs retrieve dead or wounded pheasants and partridge.
Go on, get on. Good boy. Go on, fetch it out. Good lad.
Edradina is a very, very special estate and a perfect shooting estate. And that's why it was known to be the best in Scotland at one stage. If you can imagine, the guns are up here. So birds are dropping all around. It was run in the old days very, very well by David. He brought it up to what the standard it became. He got a very good reputation for it, and I think that as his reputation grew, I think that he became very arrogant. David started really misbehaving. The family started mistrusting him. And of course, Brian was there all the time, cutting the grass, trimming, doing everything. He was really needed, and the family very much appreciated it.
How did David Campbell get along with Brian Lowe?
At first, it wasn't noticeable. But as time went on, there was a coldness. On at least one occasion, I had been talking to Brian in the morning, and David walked past me, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
If it's swear words, you most certainly are.
He turned to me angry because I was slightly late that morning and I'd still had time to talk to Brian, and he walked away and he said, "I fucking loathe that man. I hate him."
I fucking loathe that man. I hate him.
I was quite taken aback at that because I couldn't understand why anybody would loathe Brian. He was what I consider a gentle man.
Thank you.
Mr. Lennon. Thank you, my Lord. You explained that you've known David Campbell a long time.
Yes.
And you've explained that you recognise positives in him.
Yes.
He was capable of being a charming man.
Yes.
The reality is the strong comments from David Campbell about Brian Lowe are more than 10 years ago now.
Yes, for much more than 10 years ago, yes.
Thank you very much indeed. Sally Crystal spoke openly about David Campbell's dislike of Brian Lowe, but it was certainly interesting that in the 7 years or so since he had left the estate, they both lived within a handful of 100 yards of each other without there being any issue, which favoured the conclusion that it had been left behind.
Good afternoon. Can I have your full name, please?
It's Alan Stewart.
What did your job entail as a wildlife officer? What sort of things would you investigate?
It could be the poaching of salmon or deer. It could be the poisoning of wildlife. There's a big variety.
Did you take part in investigations into allegations of birds being poisoned on the Edradinett estate over a number of years?
Yes.
Did part of your investigations into these alleged crimes bring you into contact with David Campbell?
It did.
And part of the gamekeeper's job would be to protect the pheasants from predators?
Yes.
And there are limits in terms of the wildlife legislation as to the methods that they can use?
That's correct.
So, for example, would the use of poisons left out in the open with the intention of killing predator birds such as buzzards or owls, that would be against the law?
Yes, completely illegal. It was quite a big problem. There was a fair number of estates that were involved in illegal activity. Edradinett estate was, I would say, the worst estate in Tayside for the number of incidents investigated. These pictures here, these are all in Edradinett. Here's a dead buzzard that had been poisoned. We found, I don't know how many, but we could never prove that to the satisfaction of a court. I mean, he always denied it, and he was confident, he was arrogant. He even had me in for a cup of coffee one day, and I made sure that the coffee was out of a coffee dispenser, and he was taking some of it as well.
I want to ask you about an incident when you were off duty at Scone Palace?
It was the summer of 1995. I was at the game fair at Scone Palace.
Did David Campbell say anything to you?
He did. He looked across and he said, "It's great what vermin you see when you haven't got a gun."
It's great what vermin you see when you haven't got a gun?
Yes.
What did you understand David Campbell to mean by that?
Well, it wasn't said as a joke. I mean, that I was quite clear. It was said with a bit of venom. I was the vermin, and my wife was quite upset, and my granddaughter.
Were you aware of any police investigations into alleged wildlife offences?
Oh, yes,
Was there more than one?
Yes, there was definitely dead birds in the estate, yes.
From your observation, how did David Campbell and Brian Lowe get along?
I think Brian used to do a little bit of gamekeeping, and he had an understanding of what happened in a shooting estate, and he probably didn't like what David was doing.
You thought that Brian had been perhaps critical of
I think that's
David Campbell's methods?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
David Campbell ultimately lost his job as a gamekeeper, and we think the motive for murdering Brian Lowe was that he had believed that Brian Lowe was responsible for that.
Usual reminders then, don't discuss the case with anyone else. No outside researches or inquiries, just put it off to one side in your minds, and in the meantime, have a good evening. Thank you.
This is all part of Edredine Estate where Brian worked for 20 years. He thoroughly enjoyed working here. We lived in the wee white house down the bottom there, just at the farm. I met Brian because he was doing the maintenance of one of the holiday cottages I was looking after. I got on well with Brian from the word go. He was just easy to chat to. He was the groundsman, which meant he kept all the grass. He did a lot of forestry. Very conscientious about his work and about life, in fact. He would always do his best. Everybody that met Brian liked him. I don't think he had a bad bone in his body. It was a real shock that he'd actually been shot. It shocked me horribly, horribly. It was early on, the police asked me about David Campbell and Brian's relationship with him, and I knew they had had a fallout on the estate, a serious one, because Dave was being investigated for poisoning birds of prey, and it had happened more than once, and whatever Brian had said to the police really angered Dave, and they had a right set to, but Brian wouldn't tell me the ins and outs of it. But I knew it was bad, because Brian was really upset by it. David Campbell, his whole life was his work. So when it ended, probably sooner than he wanted, he wasn't happy. But not to the fact that I would have thought he would have killed Brian. And it is unreal to think that there's somebody you know that is capable of doing that.
The Crown theory of this case is that this was a premeditated murder. David Campbell had planned it for months in advance.
Members of the jury, good morning, and thank you for being here in time. Have a good deputy.
Lord Crown Witness, number 9 on your Lordship's list, Callum McDermott.
Callum McDermott is able to provide critical evidence about the movements of the accused down from Leafy Lane several months before the murder. We say that David Campbell was in that area looking for Brian Lowe.
On 6 November 2023, months before the murder of Brian Lowe, were you out with your wife Nicola?
That's correct. We were out walking the dogs.
Then what happened?
All of a sudden, coming downhill, a bicycle came flying through between us.
Going at speed?
At high speed. Initially myself, I was rather taken aback. It just didn't seem right to be driving through our farm in the middle of people standing talking. So I shouted at them to stop, and they didn't stop. So I proceeded to chase after the bike, thinking I was a good runner. They were dressed in a black outfit of a sort with it felt like a hoodie up or a hood on.
Did you see anything about the cyclist that caused you any concern?
Yes. That cyclist had a rucksack on, and to my eye, there was something sticking out of the top of that rucksack.
What did you think you were looking at?
At the time, I thought, that could have been a gun.
What made you think that?
I'm quite aware of all different types of guns because they are around in our world sometimes.
Tell us what the bike that you saw looked like.
The bike itself looked different than a normal mountain bike. It had a mirror.
You're indicating with your right hand, do you mean a wing mirror on the right-hand side?
Yes, like a wing mirror.
That you would have on a car except it's attached to a bike?
Exactly.
We'll put this image up on the projector. The next day, did your wife Nicola take that photograph?
Yes, my wife showed me that image of the same said bicycle that she'd seen in town, Aberfeldy.
Okay. We see on this bike a wing mirror on the right-hand side. Do you see that?
I do.
Did that look like the bike that you had seen the previous day?
Yes.
To the left of that bicycle, there is a figure, mostly out of shot, wearing dark-coloured clothing and dark-coloured footwear. Do you see that?
I can.
Can we just bring up that photograph, please? It's on the same production. That person happens to be standing within a few feet of that bike. The fact that this is a very small community was extremely relevant because the very next day, the bike's identified in Aberfeldy, and the person standing near that bike was the accused David Campbell. Had this been a big city, that's unlikely to have happened, but this is a small community where most people know one another and have known each other a long time, so yeah, that's a significant factor in this.
Mr. Lennon.
Thank you, Lord. The Crown asserted that drawing that together, you had a coherent picture which left room for nothing else. But poking holes in the Crown case is establishing that there are viable alternatives to their conclusion. You spoke about the rucksack on the cyclist's back, and it had something projecting from it which gave you the impression that this was a gun.
Correct.
In this flashing passage of a bike, some things caught your eye, but it isn't easy to be precise because you did not have a fantastic opportunity to note down everything that you were seeing. Is that fair?
Having lived somewhere all your life, your instinct is as strong as your eyesight.
So I'm moving on from the gun. I'm interested in the bike. My worry is that your memory starts to crystallize around the photograph of a bike rather than the separate memory of what you saw on the day. And you have explained that that could be it. That could be the bike you saw.
One has to remember that the bike I saw for 20 seconds.
But that, again, as you've very fairly explained, your opportunity to see the bike was limited.
That's right.
Mr. McDermott, thank you very much. David Campbell's position was that's not him on the bike. It's just so easy with eyewitnesses to have a glimpse of something, form an impression about it, and it turn out to be wrong. There's no real suggestion that's a concrete identification of David Campbell. One can see how mistakes happen. And there are a lot of people in that part of the world who have access to firearms, legitimate access to firearms for sporting reasons.
Yes, have you, David?
My lord, the next Crown witness is Neil Mackay, forensic scientist.
Thank you.
I'm going to call the expert witness who will be able to demonstrate that Brian Lowe was shot from a distance consistent with the shooter being an expert shot. I want you please to look at Crown label number 86, my lord. This is a sample shotgun. And just to be clear, the firearm used to kill Brian Lowe is never recovered. We know that.
Correct.
But what type of shotgun is this?
This is a 12-bore shotgun. It's described as a double-barreled. And the way it works is called a break action. So to cock the gun, you would push this opening lever to the right, and the gun would break open. And then the cartridges are loaded into here. It's closed.
Ladies and gentlemen can see the length of that. Is it possible to break that shotgun down?
It is, yes. This comes off. The opening lever is pushed to the right, and the gun breaks.
You seem to do that in a matter of a few seconds, would that be fair?
Yes.
I wonder if we could have up a video Crown Label 82. Can you tell us what we're looking at?
So it's a large plastic target, and these were the targets we used during the ranging exercise.
Your colleague's just about to tell us the distance, I think.
12-bore shotgun, distance of 1 metre.
That's from a distance of 1 metre away.
Yes, so at close distances, the shot tends not to spread very much, almost like one single projectile.
Could we look, please, at a distance of 19 metres? I think it's clear from what we've seen that the further away you are, the further the spread. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
If we turn over the page, please, to your conclusion. Could you just read this out slowly for us, please?
The ranging tests demonstrate that it's possible to discharge a 12-bore shotgun from a distance of 19 metres up to 45 metres, which could produce a similar shot pattern to that observed on Mr. Lowe.
And what can you tell us about just the spread of the shot here?
Based on the image in front of you, the muzzle of the gun was pointed directly at Mr. Lowe.
The muzzle of the shotgun is the end at the...
The business end, yes.
The business end.
Straight at the victim, yes.
Yes.
The shooter was face on and struck Brian Lowe centre mass. I say that's consistent with an intention to kill, at the very least, wicked recklessness as to whether or not the victim lived or died. Either way, that's murder.
Detectives are continuing a murder investigation into the shooting of a man near Aberfeldy.
More than 2 months have now passed, and the hunt for a killer continues.
If a gun is fired, why didn't somebody hear it? You look around, well, who's going to hear it? There is nobody here, and a gunshot in Aberfeldy, it's not unique. And even once you've gone into the background of both Brian and David Campbell and you recognise there's been a history between them, still to take that stage of years down the line to effectively come to a quiet place and in a manner execute somebody you've had an argument with years ago, it takes some getting used to that, why somebody would do that, and at the age they both were, to then take that kind of action. Given when Brian was found, everything suggests that he had died on that Saturday morning. And his partner Pam's account corroborated that.
I'm only going in there to tell the truth. I've gone 2 years through hell waiting on this day, so I'm having my say. There's no point in getting emotional or getting upset.
Can I call you Ms. Curran or Pam or what?
Pam's
do you
fine, yeah.
How long had you been a partner with Brian Lowe?
About 22 years.
So this must have come entirely as a shock to you, is that fair?
Yeah, great shock. Brian's dead. It's your whole world, isn't it? It's horrendous.
Did the police explain to you that this was a murder inquiry?
Yeah, about 5 days later.
5 days later. You worked shifts, I think, is that right?
Yeah, 12-hour shifts. As a carer in the care home in Aberfeldy.
Were you working on Friday the 16th of February 2024?
Yes.
You've been spoken to by the police about this at some length, haven't you?
I have, yes.
You worked a day shift, you finished at 8 p.m. What time would that get you home to Hazel Cottage at normally?
Probably 8:15.
And when you got home, who was in the cottage?
I originally thought Brian was in the cottage.
I'll come to that later on perhaps, but as you remember it now, what do you think?
There was nobody in the cottage.
Hello, Martin McDougall.
Have you got a moment just to run something by you?
Yeah, on you go.
Look at it then.
data across Brian Lowe's phone, there appears to be no activity from the 16th, which is the Friday. What's interesting about it is that the data picks up again on the 17th, which would be consistent with the attending officers at the locus collecting the phone. The assessment around the data would be that Brian had been shot on the Friday.
Yeah, that's fairly significant, albeit we'll also be mindful that Pam's account, you know, we can't just say she's wrong. We now need to go back and review everything we've done and already captured for the 16th to see what that looks like.
Well, morning, everyone. A few updates. Paul, do you want to just speak?
I wanted to see Pam to kind of give her an update in relation to the comms data. Pam didn't really change her stance. She still believes that she saw Brian on the Friday night after 8 o'clock, which obviously is different to what the data on the phones say.
No, that's fine. It was probably what we kind of expected. But yeah, it will undoubtedly pose issues, but we'll just work our way through it. Right, thanks.
It's probably a better one.
Off to the left is the location where Brian's body was found. Now, we'll have some CCTV footage from this farm, which is very close. And what you have in this field is a horse. As you can see now, the horse is running back and forth in the field. The horse has been spooked at exactly 16:51. So, on making inquiry with the owner of the horse, there's a number of things that could have caused the horse to be spooked, and that also includes a gunshot, which would tie in with at 16:52. There's no more movement on Brian's phone. Yeah, I'm not a big believer in coincidence, but it certainly makes for a challenging discussion.
It's very, very apparent that we need to now go and just front up Pam and say this is what the investigation's found and just kind of test her memory again. And it's uncomfortable challenging her last memories of Brian. You know, grief, I think, sometimes affects people's memories. And it might be a case that's just one for the jury to decide.
Is it correct to say that initially when you spoke to the police, you told them that you'd heard Brian in the house that morning of Saturday the 17th talking to the dog?
Yeah, but when you think back, it's just your routine every day. That's just what happens. So I feel that under that much stress and emotion, you don't know exactly that day.
You've told us that you were in a state of shock. But as you stand here today, you're clear that in fact you didn't hear him early in the Saturday morning with the dog.
No, I didn't.
And that you hadn't seen him on the Friday evening into the Saturday morning at all?
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
The preparation for cross-examining Pam Curran required a deal of thought because she is unquestionably a victim in this whole thing.
Mr. Lennon.
One of the striking things is the persistence of Pam Curran's memory that Brian Lowe was in the house on a Saturday morning. She persisted in that memory for more than 2 months. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can I ask you to have in front of you Crown Production 110? 23rd of February, I think, is a point in time where you had come to know from the police that they treated this as a murder inquiry. So can you find that line for me? It begins, I got in last night.
Yeah.
I got in last night just about 8:15. Brian was in the living room watching TV. We spoke for a couple of hours before I went to my bed around 2200. Brian didn't come to bed. He often falls asleep on the couch though, so this isn't out of the ordinary. Brian was absolutely fine when I spoke to him. He seemed normal and didn't say anything or seem untoward. And you're happy that that is what you told the police at that point in time?
Yes.
And the next paragraph reads, before my alarm went off that morning, I remember hearing the front door opening and closing. I think I also heard Brian muttering to the dog. I assumed this was Brian taking the dog out for their morning walk. But the reality is, your belief today is this is all wrong.
Not all wrong, no.
In terms of the timings.
The timings,
yes.
yeah, yes.
But subsequently, you are satisfied that that's all wrong?
Yes.
In terms of coming to understand why it was wrong, did you ever get the sense that people were hinting that you might be wrong and you needed to think about it again? Or did you simply delve into your memories and appreciate that you were wrong?
I'd thought about it, nothing else since Brian died, replaying in my mind. And then the more I thought about it, it was more like I was just saying what happened every single day in my life. I came home from work, chatted to Brian, went to bed. It was every day's the same when you've been together 22, 23 years. But nobody ever suggested that I should change anything I'm saying at any point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Gunn, that completes your evidence and you're now free to leave.
Thank you. I did go home thinking, God, this is scary. You just don't know. You don't know what way it's going to go. I'd wished I could have stood up and said, well, have you ever been told one day your partner's dead and then 4 days later he's been shot and murdered? Would you be thinking straight at these times? When I said I had seen Brian on the Friday night, I fully believed I had, because I always see him when I finish work. But when I realised that he'd lay there all night, I felt really, really bad, because I think, well, if I'd missed him, I'd have went looking for him. And it's really difficult to deal with, because you have so many unanswered questions, like, well, did Brian see the person? Did he die quickly? Things like that.
I was angry more than I was sad at first, because it's like, how dare somebody take him away, if you know what I mean?
Deliberately murder somebody. It's unbelievable. You just have to think like the next day's going to be better. And I am a very strong person, so I think things through practically. I don't run on emotion, so I'm glad I did give evidence, because then I could then get into the court to hear what was being said. I've known David Campbell for 30-odd years. I was quite surprised at how small a man he looked in that court. I did note that when I went in, Dave immediately looked at me and I thought, you're not going to intimidate me, Dave Campbell. So I just looked back at him and, no, he's not doing that to me, because I've thought, you know, it's not me that's on trial.
Advocate Deputy.
My Lord, the next Crown witness is Detective Constable David Gardner, number 62 in your Lordship's list.
The CCTV footage is significant in this case because it tells you that this was a calculated and carefully planned attack. Now, as part of your duties, did you have sight of doorbell camera footage from the accused address?
Yes.
Friday, 16th February. Okay, what happened there?
That was accused covering the doorbell camera with duct tape.
These are all the clips from the 16th. That's him. See? So there's the duct tape. Looks like getting covered. 11:10 on the 16th. And then at 19:32 it's uncovered. So you've got that whole period on the Friday from 11:10 in the morning till really at 7:30 at night. Why would you cover your doorbell with a bit of duct tape? In the meantime, we will work around seeing while that doorbell is actually covered up. If he is out, we'll look for CCTV, see if he's actually out of the house. And from that, we find what is an unidentified person on what appears to be an e-bike going through Aberfeldy towards effectively the locus. Thinking, this may be David Campbell.
We don't have an identification of the rider's face, however, it assists us to pick out some identifiable features. Probably the most exciting bit, the firearms guys, and they've suggested that it could be a shotgun bag and folded over on his back.
Members of the jury, thanks for being ready to start back again.
Our case really hinges to a large degree on the movements of a cyclist. Now, we say that that cyclist is David Campbell on his wife's bike on the day of the murder.
I want to show you some images of a bicycle. And it's now not disputed that that is Elizabeth Campbell's bicycle, wife of the accused David Campbell.
The accused position to his team is, I was in my house during the period of this murder. I have no idea what happened. There is no evidence to support that.
Did you have sight of a wide range of CCTV cameras in Aberfeldy and the surrounding area? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
OK, operator, press play. So Friday, 16th February, 12 minutes past 4 in the afternoon. Pause there. How far is this from the accused house, this location?
Not far at all.
A matter of a few minutes walk?
Yeah.
Less if you're cycling?
Yes.
Now, it says reflective glare above right hand assessed to be wing mirrored.
So just there, as he's sort of manoeuvring around, you see a glint of a silvery thing that I assess to be the wing mirror.
This is the first sight we have this date, 16:12. And then we see the cyclist again, real time 16:14.
First camera, and as you're leaving Aberfeldy.
You see anything on the cyclist's back?
Yes, it would appear to be a blue bag.
17 minutes past 4.
The same cyclists are wearing a green jacket with the hood up and a blue bag.
So we last see the cyclist at 16:18 and then you lose sight of him?
Yes.
Does the cyclist go past this camera?
No.
Okay. What are the alternative routes for the cyclist?
There is only that route on the right-hand side to take you up to the Spirit of Wood delivery track.
Okay. We heard it called Leafy Lane. Is that correct?
Yes.
The time now is 17:01. This looks like the cyclist coming back towards
Aberfeldy, yes.
So between 16:18 and 17:01, we lose sight of this cyclist at the Leafy Lane.
Yeah.
We say that during that window, he shot Brian Lowe dead. The Crown say that he died at 4:52 p.m. on Friday evening. That's when Brian's phone stopped.
Mr. Lenihan.
Thank you, Lord. There was some circumstantial evidence which was relevant to what was going on in David Campbell's house in the middle part of the afternoon, coming up towards the point where he would have had to leave to go and carry out the shooting if he was to be the shooter. Did you ever hear the audio recording of a telephone call from Mr. Campbell to the council on the 16th of February?
I've only listened to it briefly.
It might be convenient to play it to you at this point. And it's a phone call made on the 16th of February from about 3:41 in the afternoon. So if we could play that, please.
Good afternoon, local taxis.
Good afternoon. You're not the department I'm looking for, but because you're the only number I have, and I'm a dinosaur, I'm looking for council planning.
What is it in relation to? Is it a...
I'm looking to change my garage doors, and I wondered if I needed...
Oh, you have permission. Right, I'll see if someone's available in the service centre. I'll transfer you through. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
So I'm not suggesting there's relevance in the words spoken, but if it becomes clear that that's at 15:41 hours on the 16th of February, and we might hear last for about 14 minutes. The telephone call to the council is within a handful of minutes before he's going to have to saddle up that bike and head off on the Crown's theory to go and do his best to kill somebody. It is just a very normal call against what on the Crown's analysis must be a very abnormal afternoon.
Advocate Deputy.
My Lord, the next Crown witness is Dr. Tamara McNamee.
It's essential to the Crown case that we are able to accurately pinpoint when Brian Lowe died. So I'm calling the pathologist to speak to the cause and time of death.
Did you provide a report into the name of a deceased called as Brian Lowe?
I did.
Now, I'm going to ask you to look at some images. If that could be brought up, please, on the multimedia.
These red dots represent shotgun pellet as it strikes the skin in a distribution mainly over the chest, right upper arm, neck and face.
Could you turn, please, to page 3 of your report?
It is judged that the volume of blood lost into the chest cavity would have resulted in a rapid death without readily available medical and surgical intervention. When I mean by rapid, it would be seconds, if not minutes.
What can you tell us about the potential time of death?
Unfortunately, TV pathology does a very good job at making it seem that we are able to ascertain the time of death within seconds and minutes. So unless that's been witnessed in a hospital setting, that is not possible. But what happens to an individual when they die is that all the blood within the vascular system will pull under gravity. So he would have to have been lying in that right fetal position anywhere between 8 to 16 hours, plus or minus.
So Brian Lowe's death has not occurred within a couple of hours of the discovery of that body?
Correct.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mr. Lennon. Thank you, Lord.
The Crown position is that Brian Lowe had been shot dead on the Friday, but the defence will seek to create doubt. If they manage to create a reasonable doubt in the mind of the jury about that, then the Crown case doesn't stack up.
Dr. McNamee, you have explained to the ladies and gentlemen that timing a death is nothing like as straightforward as the television would suggest it is.
That's correct.
I think there's some information which you don't have. Mr. Lowe's remains remained where he was found until the arrival of a private ambulance. The private ambulance does not arrive until 2 p.m. You've said that the 8 to 16 hours has some plus or minus in it.
That's correct.
Let's work with the 8. What are you comfortable with as the shortest period with the plus or minus?
7 or 6.
The reason I mention the private ambulance staff arriving at 2 is if I take 6, that takes me to 8 in the morning. It then maybe looks like a death that morning is a possibility. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The evidence of the pathologist. Her timings became very awkward for the Crown's theory. How robust is the analysis that this was a shooting on the Friday? Because if it's not on the Friday, then the bicycle has no relevance to this. The bicycle is a coincidence.
This is an anxious case. It's such an unusual type of murder.
That's you on that bike, isn't it, Mr. Campbell?
It most certainly is not.
You were up there that day on that bike.
No.
You were up
Please
there.
stop calling me a liar.
You shot Brian Lowe dead out of sheer malice.
Malice for what?
No man who might not be guilty can be convicted on my watch. A reason to doubt means you cannot convict him.
Oh my goodness, we're never going to get a conviction.
Members of the jury, what is your verdict in respect of the accused?
Will it be in Thailand?
Chúng tôi không đáng thua Việt Nam. Huấn luyện viên Anthony Hudson tiếc những cơ hội bị Thái Lan bỏ lỡ trong trận thua Việt Nam ở lượt đi tối hôm 22 tháng 8. Nhưng vững tin sẽ lật ngược tình thế ở lượt về chung kết Asian Cup 2026. Tôi rất thất vọng về kết quả. Xét đến những cơ hội mà chúng tôi đã tạo ra ngày hôm nay, Thái Lan không đáng thua, thậm chí xứng đáng đạt kết quả tốt hơn. Nhưng vẫn còn ít nhất 90 phút phía trước và tôi tin đội sẽ đảo ngược tình thế khi đá lượt về tại Hà Nội. Huấn luyện viên Hudson mở lời họp báo sau trận đấu. Ông cũng tỏ ý khen ngợi Lê Giang Patrick, thủ môn 3 lần xuất thần cứu thua cho Việt Nam ngày hôm nay. Trên sân Jaramangala, Thái Lan kiểm soát bóng tới 64% thời lượng, dứt điểm nhiều hơn, nhưng không đạt hiệu quả cần thiết. Trong hiệp đầu họ nhỉnh hơn về thế trận với một số cơ hội tốt, dù vậy Saksen sút xa rộng xà, còn Josakon một lần không thắng được thủ môn Lê Giang Patrick và một lần khác dứt điểm vọt xa. Nhưng cục diện đảo chiều sau khi Việt Nam thay cùng lúc hai cầu thủ đưa Hải Long và Quang Hải vào thế chỗ cho Johnson Thành Long từ phút 58. Đội khách chỉ mất thêm 4 phút để mở tỷ số với cú kết thúc chéo góc hiểm hóc của Hải Long sau pha phối hợp đẹp mắt giữa Hoàng Đức với Đình Bắc. 7 phút sau, Hải Long đóng vai người phát động với đường mở bóng thoáng ra bên trái. Hoàng Hên thoát xuống xử lý gọn rồi tạt về tầm cho Quang Hải và bắt volley lật đất nâng tỷ số 2-0 cho Việt Nam.